I want to talk about the name Martin Luther King Jr. and his holiday this year, 2015, how it fell on January 19th. His name is very curious in Gematria. I just want to point out that the date January 19th, the number's 119. They're a bit like 9/11. The Berlin Wall fell on November 9th. The Twin Towers fell on September 11th. The USSR, the United States, united. Not that much different from each other when you really think about it. Big gluttonous countries with similar names and similar events on similar dates. Who could be behind such a script, right? Well, perhaps the same people behind Martin Luther King Jr. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. gave some great speeches. His speech Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, given April 4th, 1967 at the Riverside Church of New York, is a great speech. Undeniable. Probably the truest speech I've ever heard. If you've never heard it, look it up. It's called Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence. The word Vietnam equals 84, like United States of America, like George Orwell's novel. Anyhow, his speech is about how if we don't get away from this military society of aggression, we'll forever get worse and worse. And we haven't gotten away, and it has gotten worse and worse. And his speech was given approaching 50 years ago. A half a century, amazing to think. He was assassinated a year to the day of that speech. He was assassinated April 4th, 1968. The World Trade Centers would be opened 5 years later, April 4th, 1973. Anyhow, let's look at the name Martin Luther King Jr. in simple English gematria, which is what we got right here. Zooming in a little bit, Truth Seeker. Martin Luther King Jr. Add it all up, it sums to 287. 287 breaks down to 8. 2 plus 8 plus 7 is 17. Remember this number 17, it relates to 44. 1 plus 7 is 8. With Pythagorean gematria, the name Martin becomes 30, Luther becomes 30, King becomes 23, Jr. 33. Add it all up, it sums to 116, the flip of 911. If you turn this number upside down, it becomes 911. Also, 116 breaks down to 8. That's the check. They should always break down to the same single digit. The other thing that's really curious about the name Martin Luther King Jr. are that his initials, M's the 13th letter, 1 plus 3 becomes 4. L is the 12th letter, 1 plus 2 becomes 3. K is the 11th, 1 plus 1 becomes 2. J is the 10th, 1 plus 0 becomes 1. His initials become a countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. Possibly not a coincidence. This might be all part of his coded name. What I'm saying, Truth Seeker, is even Martin Luther King Jr. could have been part of a coded agenda. And if he was, he wasn't all bad. I assure you Martin Luther King Jr. has helped make a lot of us better people, myself included. But, you know, it's just all part of what's going on, Truth Seeker. There's always a double agenda. These people, they always got something up their sleeve. And look what they did to Martin Luther King Jr. They assassinated him, and he's the only American to ever have a holiday named in his honor. So, big accomplishment. But anyway, I want to look at the date he was assassinated. It's an infamous date. He was assassinated on April 4th, 4-4. If you look up Malcolm X's assassin, he was given a 44-year prison sentence. The first president to ever die in office was the 9th president, William Henry Harrison. He died on April 4th, 4-4. And I've done so many blog posts on this, from the Vatican to politicians to actors to news anchors to scientists. There's so many assassinations having to do with 44 and April 4th. And even the World Trade Centers, buildings built to be destroyed, were first opened on April 4th. Like I said, 5 years to the day of the MLK assassination. As for Obama, he is the 44th president. His birthday's on August 4th, like what we were talking about, 1984 earlier. 8-4. He ran on hope. Hope is another word with 44 gematria, just like the word kill. Hope and kill both sum to 44. Kill with Pythagorean gematria sums to 17. And yeah, True Seeker, I think this is just all part of the foreshadowing of what they have planned. They're just laughing at us, pushing us through a forced narrative. And, you know, if Obama is assassinated, if I am correct in saying this is part of what they have scripted for us, you can bet that Martin Luther King Jr. is going to be a major focus. It'll be brought back up, these memories. And it's awful to think about. I mean, they're forcing us through this. This is unnecessary. They're rigging this. And they're lying to us. And they're making us think that we're worse than we really are. And that's not what we need, True Seeker. So, I put this message out there as a tribute to Martin Luther King. I don't mean to dishonor him with this post. I think whether he was part of something, that wasn't all true and sincere or not, I still think he brought a lot of positive things into this world. And again, if you have not heard that speech, Beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, I recommend you check it out. It's a great one. I think it's about 45 minutes long or so. So, maybe a good thing to go to bed to if you're still up. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.